Hello everyone, and welcome. I found an interesting bug in a web browser that seems to be negatively affecting the frame rate and performance of SteamVR and virtual reality games. If we take a look here at this little graph or overlay, we can see my FPS up here occasionally drops below 90, and my GPU usage is not really spiking above 73%. The time in milliseconds to draw frames is occasionally spiking, though. We can see those little spikes on this graph here. This is a frame time graph, which is basically a graph of what this number is. And we can see for the CPU down here, CPU usage not really going much above 50%, but it's having the exact same spikes to a lesser extent, but at the same time as the GPU. Now the interesting thing is, if we take a look here at Virtual Desktop Dashboard, this only happens when Vivaldi is open. Now for those who don't know, Vivaldi is a web browser based on Chromium, just like Google Chrome, with a number of differences and extra features. Now I've got Process Hacker and the Task Manager open. The Task Manager is sorting things by GPU usage, although at the moment it seems to be broken. There we go. Now we can see, go away. We can see that steamtours.exe, which is SteamVR Home, which is what I'm in right now, is at the top with about 30% GPU usage. We can see that the SteamVR Compositor is second with about 11%. And then I'm recording with OBS Studio, which is using about 9%. And from there we see a few other SteamVR related processes as well as DWM bouncing around. If we drag this down, we'll find Vivaldi way down here. And we can see that none of these processes have any noticeable GPU usage or memory usage on the GPU, that is, or the graphics card. CPU usage is non-existent as well, which you can see over here. We have a couple that are using, a few hundredths of the CPU, and one that's using very little. Not 100% certain what this is. Normally, if you hover the mouse pointer over something long enough, you'll get a tooltip, but it's not working. Maybe it's not in focus. There we go. Yeah, I don't know if that would help with debugging or not. Anyway, let's put this over here. And I'm going to close Vivaldi. And look at that. Those spikes almost completely disappeared. GPU usage dropped. Let's close the overlay. Still having an occasional FPS drop. For the most part, everything is better. When we closed the overlay, our GPU usage went back up, although it's still a little lower. But our frame time is still better. It's not bouncing like it was. Let's see if we can go outside. And when we jumped outside, we had a bit of a spike. But still, for the most part, it's much smoother. I don't know why this happens, but I've found that it happens whenever Vivaldi is open. Whether it's open before I start SteamVR or after, as soon as Vivaldi is running, I have this problem. I don't know if this is an issue on other systems. The processor is a Gen 4 Core i7 4770K. It's overclocked to 4 gigahertz. 32 gigabytes of RAM. G.SKILL. It's currently clocked at 2400 megahertz. The GPU is a ASUS GTX 1080 Ti overclocked. It's one of the Strix editions. And I've manually overclocked it. I think I bumped it up 60 megahertz. And I bumped the memory clock rate up 200, 400 megahertz. I don't remember anymore. But yeah, you can see that FPS is much more stable, as are these graphs. And this is consistent across almost every game in SteamVR. If Vivaldi's open, performance issues are significant. If it's closed, they're not very bad. Well, I guess that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and hopefully the Vivaldi developers can figure out what's going on and get it fixed for us.